Good afternoon. Welcome. It's Monday afternoon. Here we are
Oh,
with our weekly comics chat.
yeah, you can say that.
Not on a Sunday. It's a Monday. So yeah,
Yeah.
welcome everybody. And it's Rasa is in the house. Hello.
Whoop whoop. That's my new that's my new saying for when my team scores. I say whoop whoop.
How's
we are,
things?
yeah. I'm not going to talk about English educational system. That's for sure. That will not stop. I've been watching rugby.
Yep.
World Cup is and its both semifinals were intense. Eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
team thankfully passed the hurdle, which was
1 point.
yeah, exactly. We went
Jesus.
so South Africa is the team I'm following through the World Cup because husband South African supposedly be a fan of rugby, but I'm becoming more of a fan of rugby. I'm a bit of a sport in that world, so I also follow my team from my town in my country,
Yep.
Kaunas. It's called Žalgiris. I'm a EuroLeague, not the NBA, but EuroLeague. I can't watch a regular season of NBA. I find it extremely boring.
hmm
Like when they go into those finals and stuff, then it's definitely a scene. But
Yeah.
being across the pond, and I used to do this when I was younger. I remember because the time difference wasn't as intense in my country because it was such a big gap. So by the
Mm.
time the game would start in America, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning, still crazy hours. But I clearly remember waking up in the early morning to watch some games because basketball is in my blood, as we call
Yeah.
that all the time. So if you are from Kaunas, Lithuania, you would probably say the same thing because it's just we get infected by it straight away,
Yeah.
like
Right.
almost like we become Walking Dead of basketball. It's like complete, utterly 1 point, and we all green as well. By the way, green and white is our color, especially team's color. So yeah, so it's kind of a thing. So, but yeah, it's really fun. It's very stressful. So both, so it's kind of similar. So South Africa and rugby team, green and gold
Yep.
tees. That's the most famous ones. And then my basketball team, which I follow from the childhood, my basketball team in my town is green and white. So it's kind of a
Yeah. Right.
green is green, eh? You know, when you get
Yeah. Yeah.
green, you can't take it off, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it was the second game that I caught yesterday.
yeah,
Happened to be out doing stuff. Had the day off of work yesterday.
yeah.
Because we went to see a show last night, so I just took the day off because we had a later start yesterday and did some errands. And then, oh shit, the rugby. A friend of mine had messaged the group. We're on this bowling group chat, and he had messaged
Mhm.
as a reminder. So we headed down to our
Oh
local,
wow.
and I think it was like 18 minutes into the game
Uh-huh.
that we walked in and caught it from there. But yeah, it was amazing. So my son was there, myself, and then a friend of
Oh
mine
wow.
came, and a couple of guys
Nice.
sitting at the bar. So it was
It's a
good. They
good
put it on all the TVs for us and put the sound on, and it was great.
way to get into rugby union when the World Cup starts. Of course,
Yeah.
it's a fantastic, especially in the semis, quarters, and finals. It's absolutely bonkers the levels of rugby. It happens. I mean, I don't
hmm
say anything on it's still entertaining if you follow the team and you're passionate about sport from the beginning get go. Any kind of World Cups, I think it's
Yeah,
actually
right.
extremely entertaining when it comes
Hell,
countries clash.
I'd say even if you're not into sports, I'm not into sports. I'm really,
Yeah,
really not. But I
yeah,
really enjoy rugby. I like the intensity of it. I like the long plays. I
yeah,
like the kind of athleticism. And the fact that these motherfuckers are like 10 feet tall. The shortest guy on the field is still like 6.5 feet tall, 250 pounds. Like Jesus
yeah,
Christ, man. Like
yeah.
it's great to see, and the plays are just phenomenal. And yesterday's game was pretty spectacular, like a 1 point lead, and right in
Yeah.
like the last minute and a half or whatever, when they made that final dash, it was like, holy shit! It was pretty
We
intense. Yeah,
yeah, me and my husband, we were kind of like almost pooping in our pants because we're thinking, oh my God, is this it? Is this it? Because honestly,
yeah,
French looked fantastic.
yeah.
I felt like they did least mistakes when they mattered.
hmm
It really what really dropped them the bomb, and that's what happens when you don't have an experience in the finals. Don't forget, South Africa has 3 titles of World Cup.
Yeah.
They are tying up with All Blacks, which is New Zealanders. So if one of them goes through the final and wins, that become a new history for the rugby union in generally. Somebody winning 4th. But French never have been through like some of the stages, and you can see that's what's like they lost a fly half, number 10, and that Mutant League football. Excuse me, rugby is amazing. And then they lost the fly half, and they made mistakes like kick out when you shouldn't have. That was basically, like jittery, like last minute seconds,
right.
and they were going so strong and so brave and so passionate. And of course, you play at home, you have this stunning crowd behind you who sings all the time. They would sing those, but they were even, like everybody was just spectating and didn't understand how quick the game can pass by. So it was absolutely fantastic. If anybody that haven't watched it, just go like highlights. Just those best moments are just like absolutely mind blowing.
And I guess, like, not to get too deep into it, this will be the last question I have, and then we'll move on. But like, my whole thing at the end was they were so close. Why didn't they kick? What was the strategy with not kicking? Because that's 3 points, right? If they get it through the uprights. So what was the strategy there? They were pretty fucking close, especially when there was an early one. I think it might have been the French. I don't remember. That was like a 52-yard, and they made after the try, they made the extra point there or whatever. I guess that's the strategy I didn't understand when it was so close to the end. Fucking kick that shit, man. Try to get those points,
Yeah, everybody was talking about that in particularly, but it's so Rassie Erasmus, who's a South African director of rugby. He's this mad genius, they call him. He likes to play rugby, but wants to innovate rugby to go with time. You cannot just stagnate the sport. You need to excite people and make them think. So now what he's doing and those things that they come up with is what makes people talk about rugby so much more now. And they keep on like, oh, why he's inventing new rules nobody understands. They like when somebody innovating too fast and people can't keep up, they start telling that he's bending the rules. He's playing with others and nobody understands what's happening around him. And I was questioning because not many people do that. They don't make risks, especially in the semifinals. But what they were saying is we go out like that or we don't go at all. So that's the idea was, like this is what they have to make score. They would put 3 points, but it wasn't guaranteed that they would get the ball back. Kind of it is guaranteed, but then they had to go all the way. So they decided, okay, let's take a risk, like let's just go for it and see how it works. And it did work for them, which is absolutely fantastic.
So literally it was just a decision in play. Like, hey, this is the decision.
They have tactics. It's very tactical. Very
guy yelling on a microphone for South Africa a few times, standing up and just like yelling into his headset, Yeah,
he was screaming, but he was making sure that they would follow through. There's lots of tactical things they made. We were questioning straight away, like captain went away too early. Why? Nobody knows. He made some tactical decisions with when they went and changed players. It's fascinating, honestly. I think it's really good to see that a man like this exists in the rugby because they need them. Because we keep on telling rugby union is boring. Rugby sevens is the next big thing, and we should go for it. Like just change the way we play. But I think rugby union still has so many surprises like these, which nobody is kind of willing to go for it. Like be too afraid to innovate, and he isn't. He said, like, I don't want to. I want to, I want to see rugby going forward. I don't want it to stagnate anymore.
Yeah, right.
So it's really nice to see. It's kind of nice to hear.
Antoine Dupont. The Frenchest name you're ever going to fucking hear in your life. When we saw, it's like, oh, Jesus, as if, of course he plays for the French team. Antoine Dupont.
Yeah, anyway. He was the number 1 French guy anyway. He's the one who had major surgery just 2 weeks before
that was the
game. Yeah. And major cheek, he had broken cheek. He went into surgery, fixed it up, but, they kind of cleared him. But when you have a broken, we had anything broken in your body, which I'd never had, but I heard lots of people say, if you have something broken, it's bloody sore. every time. And you go back into contact sport just with a headgear, which is not really a protective thing.
Yeah,
And
right.
to a level to what he was showing on that field is mind-boggling. That's why French, they
Yeah.
couldn't not have him that game, because if he wouldn't have been in that game, I think it would be a very different score.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, Monday Rugby
Yeah, sweet.
channel is closed now, people. Don't worry. Whoever watches in the future, we're done now.
Chapter break here.
10 minutes in. There you
Anyway,
go. Mm.
so why don't you start us off there? What you got first there?
I haven't read too much. Okay, let's talk this one. So remember you were saying about this, and I was saying that I read and I started rereading it, but this knocked out of the park. Issue number 1. It was extremely intriguing. So this guy called Dick Foreman is the writer, and Jill Thompson is what I guess that's why I wanted to pick her up, her art, because it's kind of like very much Vertigo vibe to it, very much preacherish. I don't know how you found it. That's true. Oh wow, that's intense, man. And I risked this first issue. Just I was into it, and that's what I remember clearly. What I really enjoyed about maybe this run, maybe this particular issue as well, because from the it's basically, you could say, one-off issue could be, because you got all the reward from the beginning till the end. You kind of got it, kind of sort of an understanding what she is all about, or who's kind of hunting her. And then you have this reporter, or no, it's not a reporter. What is he? What? Because he was working for Hotline as a freelancer.
Yeah,
So
right.
he's like a detective, or is it what? Yeah. So he was
something or other.
Yeah. So anyway, so this guy here is investigating this bizarre situation which happened to 2 cops, which I showed you in the previous page, where they spotted this lady who disappeared in the alley, or turned into this being, where they absolutely got mesmerized by it, and she vanished. And they tried to report that to the PS, and they told that you're absolutely mad and you made that shit up, or you were drinking before on your on work, and completely destroyed their basically work life. And then this guy who is investigating, trying to find out any kind of sort of understanding what this being is, they start to get to talk to people like this friend who calls this black orchid a blackie. Isn't she calling her a blackie, which is kind of odd name? But anyway, where she met her, gave her a job as a escort service. And this, don't you think this hair was a thing in the 90s? Because it seems to be she had it, and then from Sandman, the deaf girl, she had the same haircut. Right. Anyway,
gothy kind of leftover from the 80s.
Yeah. And anyway, so yeah, and then afterwards, it just you just keep on unraveling and finding these people who came across this Black Orchid, or the lady Blackie, whatever, or the other names he started to find out she had, and how everybody has the same kind of sort of feel towards her. That they get to know her. She looks a little bit clueless, but then they got completely mesmerized while she wasn't present with them, and they completely like changed. Some people's, like this guy in particular, lost his job because he got so mesmerized by her, even though apparently she was extremely horrible doing the ad. And he staked his job, and he lost and became homeless, which is absolutely horrible. And then so it's kind of interesting. It's like an investigating issue from the beginning to the end. Yeah. And I kind of, because I like detectives, it's kind of intriguing to me, like how they gets unraveled, especially this kind of, like when she makes this boy who with a AK-47 to put his gun down, and she wasn't afraid of it, and how this group of people were telling their stories, the experiences with her, and that's how they see her in her form of power, I presume. So yeah, I mean, this is really strong, to be honest. This first issue, I absolutely loved it. It was spot on. Yeah. Really kind of worked out properly from the end to the beginning. The end for the investigator wasn't very good, as you would presume, because it's continuously something really kind of or bad happens, or people who trying to get hold of her kind of because they're in the way of them, they become demised. Like this guy got completely shot to death without realizing this is going to happen to her, because to him, because she's basically put that suggestive idea into his head, and he completely decided that to have that. Anyway, fantastic. And this first issue, honestly, absolutely strong. And I think you were saying the same thing, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I had that first issue for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the first issue. That's what got me to want to look for more. So when I found that batch, I figured I'd get the next 4 just to try out like the first, what I thought was going to be sort of the first arc, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it just, in my opinion, those first 5 issues, it just doesn't maintain that. But yeah, I agree with you. I remember enjoying that first one quite a bit as well, too.
And they have this advertisement.
I mean, enough to investigate more anyway.
For Vertigo Jam, and then this is one like
yeah,
one of
that issue, I think. Yeah.
No. So it's really nice. It's quite a few. Nice, it's all. What about this Vertigo? You get to see those advertisements which we hate in the new stuff, but in the old stuff we all, oh, look at that. Do you remember this? So this is a really good story, by the way, to people who has not read Enigma. Milligan's baby, really. It actually even had reissued collection, isn't it? In a really nice format. Yeah. So it's all collected in one thing. You can pick it up, which is nice, you know, when it comes to that kind of thing. So yeah, this ads in Vertigo, like even this, you know, like you said, you were Batman Grendel, the Grendel thing, which is I have not actually read. Nor do I have any copies of that story. I don't think.
There's
I have some
in there as well too. Ted McKeever.
Yeah, and where else? I wanted to point out. There's a ad.
Early on was. Oh yeah, there you go, Batman Joker.
No, that cat's face, and generally they even made a couple of like statues or action figures of that face in particular. So cool.
That's wild, Jeff.
Yeah, and then Jonah Hex. Highly recommended. There you go. Anyway.
He's tripping balls now.
Yeah, there you go. So there.
Cool.
So this issue for sure, I can guarantee you, people, if you at all like in detective stories, this is will drive you from like it gives you just a reward for reading it. You know, like you gets a good reward. Anyway, we are people pleasers, Andrew Lopez. By the way, so you know,
our number 1 fan is in the house.
Whoop whoop whoop. Whoop 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 whoop.
What should I start out with here? Oh, hey, why don't we start out with this one? I'm gonna put this shit now. Put it right here. Don't fall. I found ring a ding ding. I found issue number 2.
Oh my god!
Of Enfield's Gang Massacres.
I
had to go out and find it. I had it. They had 1 copy left at this place down that direction, cover to cover. So I read 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Something like that goes together. Something like that, right?
It's like
so it's all connecting covers. It's maintains as good as the first issue was. These ones are just as good. There's no fall off. There's only 1 more issue coming. But in the back, they're talking a little bit about, I don't know, there seems to be some hint, I think it was in issue 3 from Chris Condon about maybe doing some more like this, which I kind of hope they do. But again, this is just a solid story. It's not a deep story. It's not a heavily involved story. It's basically this gang getting surrounded and they're gonna get massacred, as is the title of the book. The Enfield Gang Massacre. So there's really nothing. There's no surprises. There's no spoilers. There's no nothing. You know exactly what's going to happen. And in this one, we get a little bit of history of some of the guys that are around him as they die off. So we get a little bit more of a look into potentially like these group of this gang is kind of like, you know, how much of a family they all are. But some really great pages from Jacob Phillips as usual, and the coloring Really, really good stuff. So that it ups the violence a little bit in this issue, as you can see, but it's all of the transitions. And I mean, this kind of thing here, like this kind of odd shape of light, I guess. I feel like he does that a lot, even in the Sean Phillips stuff, even when he's coloring for his dad. I feel like he's pretty bold with some of these choices. Because I mean, that's not exactly the shape of a window. It's just kind of it's these shapes that are in it, or the highlight on her back there, background in there.
I think he's very much influenced by his dad.
Yeah.
I think his dad has given him direction. He's following through, and I think he's just finding his own. It's not yet his own thing. I don't think he's very much daddy's son.
Yeah.
In his art, at least, that's what I'm trying to say. But he's exploring. It seems to be because the more confidence you gain, the more people like his work. Like these, like you say now, you give him praise, and I think that works. Like that's how you get to. But I wonder how far he will go. I hope he's gonna. Sometimes when you are. Your dad is an artist and you are an artist, it's always interesting to see how far you're gonna go forward rather than be as what your dad is. Like you always have to explore, and hopefully you won't be afraid of it as well.
Yeah, no, totally. And then this is issue 3 again. It's just a continuation on that. They're starting to get the good guys, the quote unquote good guys, have tied a couple of their gang members to the backs of horses and run the horses into town as their corpses are getting dragged behind them. So that kind of like ups the ante a couple of, it's to kind of flush them out, to piss them off so they can flush them out so they can pick them off. We do get a couple of people. Hello, Daryl D. We do get a couple of people that fall into the trap and run out. But it's just a really good book. And again, like, this paper, the whole package is just really fantastic. They've done an amazing job. And then at the end of each one, we do have the article, the Enfield Gang Massacre. It's in every single issue. I haven't read the entire thing. I read one of these. I kind of want to go back once it's done and then read the whole thing.
So 6 issues, yeah?
Is it 6? I thought it was 4.
Oh, okay. I
think it's only 4. I could be wrong, though, of course. And in this one, they do a little bit of letters page in the back as well. And something I didn't notice before is I haven't clicked on it yet. Listen to the Enfield soundtrack through this QR code. Soundtrack is in quotes, though, so I wonder what exactly that is. I think it's a Spotify link is what that one is. But I haven't explored that yet. And then, of course, the next covers, you get the sample of the next covers and the beautiful $1,000 reward poster on the back for the gang. So recommended, man. It really makes me want to get into that Texas Blood series as well too.
It says 1 of 6.
That's like, oh, does it say 6? Okay, even better then.
Because that's what Google says. So take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. But
I'll believe it.
Yeah. So, you see, Image Comics books even saying Enfield Gang Massacre 1 of 6.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, I would be kind of weird to have only 4, to be honest, because they do like to have 6 issues in the trade.
Yeah, right. So, yeah.
So to
do a nice collection. Yeah. Speaking of which, I saw the Kaya first trade out when I was at I went to the comic shop today to pick up some new issues, and it only has issues 1 to 5. So he didn't put issue 6 in it, like he said. Wow. So that's a good thing. And I ended up picking up 11. They only had this cover left, and then issue 12. So issue 12 is the one-off standalone issue, is what it says on 12 there. So he is continuing with doing the standalone. So I'm excited to see what's next.
Hopefully we can talk next week, because I should get it this week. Hopefully, this week. I mean, I forgot it's Monday.
Yeah, it is Monday. Yeah.
Just because we talk about, we always talk on Saturday, so I think next week. Yeah. So this week, maybe I'll receive. I'll have a look if I can get hold of it. If the post will comply, because sometimes they don't comply. Anyway, I'm jealous. Honestly, I hope you're gonna keep that paper in because I'll read. Oh, hello.
Hello, yes. Dan Elson. Welcome. Yes, Kaya is fantastic. We're both really loving it so far.
Yeah, thanks to this dude, I I am got back on I don't know why, Dreamland, from Dreamland to another Dreamland from Kaya. So I'm really glad I had it. I managed to pick them all up. Because I that's what bothers me, with the Enfield Massacre. That's what really angers me, when you late to pull something like that in your pull list, and it just disappears off the shelves, and then somebody asks £10 per issue. It's like, come on, man.
Well, and I think that's why so many people like who've got pull lists, they just end up picking up issue number 1 of pretty much everything. You know what I mean? Just in case. Then it's something that, but I mean, I can't afford to do that shit. There's so many fucking books coming every week. Like, but the indie stuff, I mean, there's stuff that, if I could afford it, I might do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like pick up a bunch of number 1s just to give it a shot. Right. Because like you said, then if you miss it, then you miss it. Right. So
did you hear what Rick Remender is done with his offshoot thing for the Image?
No.
Oh, thank you.
Tune in some of your chats with Sleepy Reader and really love what you guys do. Thank you very much, Dan. I binge watched all your Toronto videos this morning. Oh, nice. Love all the undergrounds you found. Thank you very much, Dan. Welcome.
Welcome. So Giant Generator, I think that's what's going to be called. So he's getting his hands on the most prestigious artist on his roster, or whatever is that called. They're going to be part of that Giant Generator. So all the creators Rick Remender has worked, apparently is going to be part of it, and he's been announcing that in NYCC, New York City Comic, whatever, the Comic-Con in New York. But I'm not sure exactly details what. I just saw the names, and all the names I've seen is like, oh my god! So he's really pulling them in, kind of like making what Marvel and DC used to be doing, isn't it? Kind of doing their own thing now. Like you were showing that other thing with last week. You were showing them that collected edition of splashy stuff, like whatever those stories.
Right.
So kind of maybe that's what's the new thing going on. Like people who used to work for Big Two now are going to make themselves doing whatever, and they're part of this new giant other thing, which is exciting. I mean, especially the creators he's pulling in the Giant Generator. So I'm not sure what's if he's a writer, what they up to. I don't know details. I just seen the names. So and
that'll be interesting to know if they're doing their own thing or if he's writing something for each of them. Hopefully they're doing their own thing with other writers and he's pulling in a roster. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it looks very good. Mateus Calera is back on, and awesome. they've been buddies no matter whatever. Mateus Calera was working with a lot of field creators, and I think he's at the end of the day, I really like his art and all that stuff. So, but Craig was there with his buddies once again. Like Kaya talking about mentioning, so they are buddies. And I think it's good if you're gonna pull up and then make something amazing once again. I guess it's just our pocket is gonna, be much more emptier when it comes to
right. I was just checking on issue 12 of Kaya if there was an inclusion of his company, but no, not on that one.
I wonder. Anyway, so I just heard that. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe it's still gonna be announced, or I just see sometimes because I follow Rick Remender, I think on Instagram. So because I like to see whatever he's coming up, because I didn't, because he has been quiet for a while. And that's why I started following him more closely, because I like his work. So Anyway, my next thing, I was talking about the Peter Milligan next thing in this collected shock treatment. So Peter Milligan got Tremors. Is a story where it made me angry, because just generally for the era it was. So in the era where a lady is married to this preacher or priest-like person. Sorry, my religion parts are not very good, so I'm not really clear on that one. Anyway, a priest who's married, has a child, and his child having epilepsy episodes, and he's thinking that it's a demon is possessing his child. So he started to kind of like literally abuse him, because he went to the school and the school was complaining about the seizures, because that time and era nobody understood that epilepsy seizures were something more concerning the health of a child, but they all think that you're possessed by demons, especially extreme religious types. and he took the son away from the school. He put him in the house under kind of sort of house arrest, because he's keep on saying, demon, you have to leave, and I'm gonna beat the demon out of you with any way possible. And he was kind of like, or one way or another way, nothing happens. Whatever he says in the house, whatever everybody has to do. So I got why I was getting angry, because of his wife. At that time, she didn't have no say whatsoever. She was trying to convince her husband of, maybe we should see a specialist. Maybe we should just try help him instead of tying him up at night, because he was afraid the demon is going to escape from his child's body and start eat everybody alive in the house. But and he was getting really like punished by his dad every single time. And while in one moment of escape or finding a peace or running away from this guard guy who used to be a soldier, he's kind of lost his ability to walk really nicely, but he's just working for the family as a guard for this child to make sure. But because they are wealthy family also in that era. I'm sorry, I never realized what exactly time of period it is, but it's definitely those early stages of like 1900s, I guess. Anyway, so he is kind of like shadow of a child, but he managed to escape, and he escapes into this woods where he sees a figure or statue, and he starts to feel like it's calling him and asking him to become kind of, because he's from a religious background, he's been asked kind of to sway him to another side kind of thing. And he started to believe that his dad may be right, that he's actually possessed, and all this epilepsy episodes he has, that is not, like his demon is possessing him. His religious beliefs are going down, like that blind faith in one person's belief, like you don't have really a choice. And while he's having those episodes, he loses absolute ability to understand what's happening to him. And most of the time, he's keep on seeing this figure that is swallowing him down or possessing him as he thinks it does. So while wife's trying to do so and to help him, he gets beating his wife for even mentioning the words of any sorts of ideas she has. You shouldn't have an idea, so you just do whatever I say and shut up, and that's it. This is your job for doing that. Also, she still keeps on fighting, but the kid is going from worse to worse. Not only that he's been beaten by his dad, but his epilepsy episode is giving him even worse conditions to his skin. All this demons, whatever he's thinking, trying to possess him, also keeps on appearing in his state of whatever concern. And to the point where even the dad is trying to kill him.
I didn't quit, Chaos. I was let go.
And then his dad is basically almost killed his wife, because what she found while they're having this row and conversation about fighting about his child's well-being, she started telling him, well, I found these pictures of something, no porno, basically, in that era, or pictures of disgrace, because you are the priest of the man of the house of God, and you're having this filth in the house as well. So it's a lot of things happening in this little story. Honestly, fantastic art. It's mesmerizing me more and more the more I look. The coloring really works. The palette of the choosing gives you that atmosphere of that time and era. She's continued fighting for the child. The child is continuously questioning himself, and to the point where the dad, because he had this confrontation with, she confronted him about this porno in the closet. He decided to lock her up instead and accused of her of having those pictures of ladies. Like this is the evidence. So they basically decided to tell, because she's going in a different direction. So they decided to close her down because she's not going the right path, and you are absolutely insane. We have to close you in the cuckoo house, and that's it. You don't have no say whatsoever, and they take her away. So the child gets left with his dad. and continuously beating him to the almost to the to level. I don't know how the child is even standing, to be honest, but he's continuously trying to escape, and he goes to so he's patience of or whatever questions he's keep on having started to decided not to do this anymore, and I'm gonna go and ask this pretentious dog demon or whatever god that he's thinking is there in those woods to sort something out, so kill dad or something, or save his mom and dad, or mom, not dad, save mom from him, and basically try to survive somehow. And it happens because when dad just finds that supposed thing and where he goes and tries to sledgehammer it, the shards goes into his eyes and he loses his sight. And he thinks that like he's gonna find the path home, but he decides that things happens to him nobody could explain, and only thing what happens afterwards, they found his body, and they bury him, and they two of them, she comes back living together with him, so mother is saved and they live happy ever after without explanation what happened to the dad. Really cool. I mean, it's a very mysterious little tale, but it's highly
Yeah.
rewarding for collected edition. This is extremely quite a few, and I mean it's quite a big read, to be honest. The first issue by Cullen Bunn, which I was talking last week, it didn't feel as long, the story, of course piecemeal, didn't feel as long as this Peter Milligan ones. Maybe I guess I was more engrossed in the story. So Piotr Kowalski is the artist on this God Tremors, which absolutely stunning. I'm telling
Yeah, it looks
you, it's really good, and I think I definitely seen him in like newer versions of Sandman iterations they had in these were Black Label or DC, whatever. So really good. This is highly recommended. It's really not. And I talked to you about the next story when you finish talking about something else.
It's a pretty good idea for them to do that. Have like samples of 3 titles in there and giving you a good chunk of a story, right? Because
Oh yeah, plenty.
that one quite a few issues. That
There's
that
3
one there.
stories. There's 3 stories in it, and all of them felt plenty of time to tell you like really like story from the beginning to the end. So for that time when it came out for $20, let's say price to tag, you get 3 full-blown stories, and one after another one is kind of nicely placed. Peter Milligan's was the strongest one. There's another one I'll show you afterwards, where it's kind of felt like a horror tale to a child, but I'll explain afterwards when you talk about something else. But yeah, for collected editions, honestly, and the sheer size of the album size trade paperback is really nice to see, especially that Piotr Kowalski's art is just, the more I flip the pages, the more like, oh my god, this is great, because all the panels are so filled with everything and backgrounds and stuff.
You sure do.
Yeah.
I went to see him last night. Me and my son went to see him last night, and it was fucking incredible, man. Like it was a hell of a performance. They played their new album, and their new album is one song, an hour and 20 minutes long. So they played that whole album, and they had some projections as well. And holy shit, it was great. It was really great. More uplifting than I thought it was going to be. This one had a very kind of religious vibe to it. There was organ at the beginning for 10 minutes, like this organ piece that they were playing the samples of. The percussionist plays a Hammond organ, and then they had some like very kind of clean, almost like church like chanting vocals at a couple of passages. It was fucking impressive. I was blown. And then of course hearing that sound and feeling that sound live is always a thing. Like those low notes is so great. Yeah, it was a pretty killer performance for sure.
Were you getting the crowd you expected, like the age?
No, there was a lot of, there's only 2 members, Chris. There's a lot of people my age. Actually, I saw a lot of people there who I don't know very well, but I've seen them when I was a teenager going to see metal shows, and they're all old and fat and bald as well. So it was all oh really, Dan, amazing.
There you go.
So 2 members, and that's amazing, Dan. That's really amazing. You can tell them they put on a fucking hell of a show here in Winnipeg last night, because me and my son really loved it. And it was also good to go with my son. That looked like there was also a couple people there that might have been with their kids as well too. So it was a nice mix of a crowd. There was a number of younger people there, but the majority of us were the old, there was a lot of like leather jackets and jean jackets with Venom back patches and all these kind of things, right? So he used to drum for a band called the Mackay that I used to play lots of shows with. Cool. Very cool, Dan. So yeah, I'm really glad that we went, and I'm hoping that because this is part one of like a 3-album trilogy, I'm hoping that for each one they come and do a tour, because I'd love to see them again. But there's a ton of shows they've still got there at the beginning of their tour, so I don't know, check out where you live and go and see them if you're into more extreme music and stuff. But yeah, very cool. Anyway, so the next thing I checked out this week was Jake Thrash 2. It was supposed to have been a 3-issue miniseries. 3 of them, the number 3 didn't come out. Eventually, though, all 3 parts were collected in a trade paperback. Pardon me. I think it was from Caliber. I don't remember. I don't think it was Aircell that put out the collection. So this is not only early Dave Cooper, this is early Aircell. What year do we have? I think it was like 90. No, sorry. Where are we here? 80 something. Anyway, it's earlier Aircell, and of course there's no indicia anywhere. But I love this one. I've been reading a ton of Dave Cooper. 1988 is when this is. So I've been reading a lot of this early Dave Cooper stuff. Who's gone on to change his style very, very dramatically. But this probably was some of my favorite stuff. The story itself was pretty basic, but the atmosphere that he puts on every single page, and his kind of pudgy, oddly proportioned characters, I think fit really well. But honestly, I think this color and the reproduction is pretty spot on. So it's not quite a post-apocalyptic world, but ish, you know what I mean? Like there's a very 80s looking guy there, this leader of one of the other gangs. But this is so enjoyable. I put the collected edition on my wish list on Lone Star because I would love to see the rest of this. So there are other early Dave Cooper stuff, as good as it is. I think this is kind of one of the stronger ones, and probably one that I'd recommend to people above that other stuff if you're curious about getting into his art and seeing this era of stuff. He does have some of that. He does have some of that kind of later or mid-era Dave Cooper style, that kind of noodly style that Robert Crumb made fun of in the Crumb documentary when he picks up his book from the shelf. He has these kind of noodly figures going on. This feels like it's a little closer to that, and it makes me a little confused because I think there was stuff that came out after this that seemed almost like a step back for his style. So where I would put this kind of later stages, I'm kind of confused as to maybe when stuff was coming out. Like, look at that figure across the 3 panels there, man. It looks really, really nice. So, but like I said, we're not talking about a mind-blowing story here. Pretty straightforward, but it's pretty damn fun. Yeah, Pressed Tongues is one that I also have on a wish list there, Dan. I still can't find it, but I've been grabbing up all that Aircell stuff as well too. And I'll just show you a couple of pages from this number 2. They're a bit thinner issues, these as well. And here he kind of leans into the green. The other thing I'm really digging is kind of his backgrounds of like cities and this underground and stuff like this. It's pretty densely populated stuff. It's kind of basic-ish looking, but there's a lot of nice texture to it, I think, with that color. And see if there's also a cityscape here. Not in this one, but some nice kind of characters here. And I just love that everything has this kind of smoky haze on most of the panels, just gives you a feel for that a kind of dirty city there. So yeah, really enjoyable. Not much else to say about it. Jake Thrash from Aircell, 1988.
Crazy. I've been looking to see on eBay, and the only thing I can recognize is that Walking Dead type of Aircell cover. I don't know why, because maybe it's Walking Dead. The name? Do you know that
There was
issue?
a dead world. I don't know if that was Aircell, but there's so many of those
I'll
kind
show
of.
you. You probably will recognize. Oh, can you see?
One sec. Oh, yeah, I don't recognize that cover actually. So it's actually called Walking Dead.
Yeah,
no, I
it is.
don't recognize that cover at all.
Who
Not
did
one
it?
that I've seen.
Jim Somerville.
Oh yeah, Summer. Yeah,
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's. I've seen that one, but I've not seen any other ones. Like I have not seen this. Because I know you talk about it. I never heard until you mentioned about ASL.
Mhm.
Because I'm not as brave as you to dabble in that realm. So I'm
right.
I'm learning. You're teaching me. Like I'm probably in grade like 2 or 3 now when it comes to that
Yeah,
kind of
right.
realm. Not yet comfortable, but I can explore it, especially when you send it through. So I always find it
no, that's right.
entertaining.
And if you can find it for cheap, it's worth it too. That was the original comic
Exactly.
called Walking Dead from long before Kirkman's. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, so I'm gonna the last story of this aftershocks is it's called 10 Years to Death. So this is a story of when a guy who works for Aaron Douglas is Aaron Douglas is a writer and Cliff Richards is an artist, not the singer. By the way, if you're trying to confuse yourself, I don't think that's the Cliff we're talking about.
10 Years
By the
to
way,
Death.
yeah. So this is a tale about a prison worker who has a nephew comes home. A nephew by chance asks him a question he shouldn't have had because he regretted since. So this is the scenes of the couple of pages. He comes home to his brother's house, and he is just kind of really depressed, has a beer, and this child who's watching the television decides to ask him what's happened to your day, and he's like telling this horror story where he's basically, while the story is being told, child saying, "This is the one thing I've never forgotten about, and I regret it since I asked, and I felt like I should have just gone to bed in the first place." So this uncle, who is, as I say, prison worker, gives the beer to the child. By the way, bad. No matter how good your uncle you are, but don't give beer to the child, no matter which age he is. But while he's so distraught and having this conversation, he asks him to shut up, don't say to anybody, while he's telling you the story. And who is he telling the story is about a prison worker who comes to work in his prison, but he has this demeanor where nobody can talk. He doesn't really talk. He's just there present. Everybody is afraid of him. Even the guy who is most feared in the prison was absolutely petrified by him, and nobody understood why. And this is a tale of telling the whole things behind it. And the one surrounding thread of the story is that the prison officer who comes to work is being called ghost by everybody due to his, as I say, demeanor. It's the story unravels quite nicely and neatly, I could say this way. I'm not going to go deeply into it because I didn't know how the story will end, and it's kind of an interesting take on it. It's nothing surprising when you finish the story, but I won't say too much about it because, why not? You have to explore yourself. Of course, probably people will forget or never see this video anyway. But I'll tell you this way: after reading it,
What are you talking
I
about?
was
People flock to our videos afterwards. They're very on top of what we're reading and recommending.
awesome. Okay, so I do apologize for my I'm not saying the right words at the moment, but
Right.
the art wise is very forgetful, to be honest. I really don't like this shadowing.
Yeah,
It
right.
doesn't have anything. It's very monotonic. It's kind of tries to tell the story or gives you the feel of a story. It doesn't give you that much scared. Like prison TV shows we see. Some of them are really kind of like you want something starkling color. They just to kind of be present. And he has too many muted colors.
Mm.
Jackie, hello. Um, but the story itself is, this is the guard that we're talking about. So he's kind of like this. No wonder he's been called Ghost by all of them. But it definitely is enjoy, like has this feel towards him. And when discovered the surrounding story, why he's present in there. Exactly. It's too blocky. I think they're using too many blocky. There's not enough kind of what do you call them? Blending. There's not enough blending in the shadowing, and I think that's why it feels like that. It needs sometimes when you use such a stark black color, especially in this glossy paper, the matte black has become really black. I say that 10 times in a row. Anyway, it's, well, there is some color in here, like the purples in the child, but still, like you can see his shadowing here. So behind him is quite light, and where the shadow falls, is it because it's behind the light in the ceiling, or is that how the light falls to? I don't know. It just kind of feels a bit weird. And
that's kind of like a Kelly Jones vibe to it. There's an era of Kelly Jones that kind of looks similar.
Yeah. So anyway, the story is the prison guard is there for purpose, and to do one thing only. Is the spoiler alert, is to kill somebody. Somebody gets freaked out, and they tell you why everybody got freaked out at the end of this. So really interesting, but as I say, kind of, I don't want to reveal too much because it was rewarding. Well, I just showed you what it was. who got murdered? Anyway, still go back and read this, because I actually, if you can find a library, I highly recommend. It's kind of like that gives you a treat of the horror / psychological thing going on in what they're trying to do, the aftershock anyway. So I really enjoyed it. I honestly, the cover never spoke to me. The first story wasn't intriguing enough. With the second one, I got sold, because then it's kind of gradually, the first story kind of made sense why you read it first, and then second one is just kind of like the gem, like the topping on the cake, and then you just have afterwards the last story. So I definitely think it's a successful release by Aftershock.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm glad I got it from the library, of course, which is kind of great.
Yeah, shit, yeah, it is.
Because Piotr Kowalski is not somebody I always look out, but it's definitely right up my alley, because I think he could do fables with eyes shut, because he just had that art style, especially in that era. Your turn.
Let's do this one. We just get it out here. Another old indie that this is one of those cheap bin finds that only went 2 issues, and I wish it went longer, because this was surprisingly quite a bit of fun. It was supposed to be a 4-issue miniseries. From what I can tell, only 2 of them came out. It's called It, The Terror from Beyond Space, from Millennium Comics. Millennium got on my radar from, and then there's a nice die cut kind of opening there, so you see the grizzled, twisted body. I think Millennium is the company that did that. I can't remember if it was them that did that macabre thing or who it was, but I know I have a couple of other Millennium Comics stuff. So this is adapted from Jerome Bixby's screenplay by Mark Ellis, pencils by Dean Zachary, inks by Jim Amish and Robert Lewis. No names that I can say that I recommend. So this, or recognize rather. So this is taken from like the 50s It movie, but done kind of, modern-ish, updated a little bit. Again, almost like an Aliens type story. They go to, I think it's Mars. They go to where there was some astronauts, where some humans had been sent to kind of start terraforming and starting to build a new world on Mars. And then they lost contact with them. So they came back and found the captain is the only one that survived. He's claiming that there was a monster that's attacked and killed everybody. All signs point to he murdered everybody. Guess which one is true? There's a goddamn monster. And there's kind of the taste of the monster there onto the ship. It was like, and that's pretty much all you need to know about the story. And then the rest of it becomes kind of like Aliens, where the monster slowly starts picking people off. But honestly, as kind of rough and tumble as this art is, I kind of love the coloring in this. It has this kind of like, there's parts where it's this airbrushed kind of quality to it. And then when they do this kind of storytelling, they go into the storytelling. He talks about what happened with their mission. The color palette completely changes to like these blues and purples, and it kind of gives it this, and almost send some pinks in there as well too. I don't know if that's translating on the camera or not, but
it's very
it gives it a really cool look. And then when they talk about discovering this tomb with a mummy, that turns out that's what the alien is born from. So we get the nice reveal at the end there, almost like the heat signal of this alien creature coming back to life. And I love that picture a hell of a lot. So I think this is the one. This is the issue where we had our cover for our photo for today's stream. This final image of this creature standing one-on-one with one of the astronauts. So super cool. And then issue number 2. And like I said, I'm pretty sure none of the other issues had come out. At least I couldn't find anything. And this is just a rough, bonkers looking cover. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. Again, it looks like airbrushed to me.
It does.
But yeah, nothing else. If you find this in a 50-cent bin, don't hesitate for a second. It's just a nice little tale.
Hello.
Good evening and good afternoon and guten Morgen, Mr.
No, that's
Gray.
morning. That's morning. Why
I know
say
it is.
morning?
Isn't that morning? Yeah, guten Morgen, isn't it? Isn't that what it is?
No, okay, maybe.
Guten Tag, guten Nacht, something like that.
Yeah,
right,
something like that. Gute Nacht.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the better one. Maybe.
Thank you very much. I was thinking Killer Croc. Yeah, it does have a little bit of Killer Croc look to it for sure there, Andrew.
When you showed the first cover, it looked like a washing machine. I'm sorry for saying that.
Yeah, no, it totally did. Yeah, 100%. Look at that guy getting the life force sucked out of him.
Wow.
So yeah, it's definitely 50-cent bin. If you see the 50-cent bin, grab these suckers up. Just a blast, just a lot of fun.
There you go. Good Nacht. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for our German lesson
for this evening.
Well, how you say thank you in German now? Oh my
God.
Dankeschön,
isn't it?
Yeah. There you go. You got better German than I do.
Yeah. Well, my mom speaks German. I'm not saying that I do. But yeah, she speaks German. Yeah. And I heard it a lot growing up. The only one of them that the other one that stuck with me is SS. When we used to go to my Oma and Opa's house, my Oma used to say SS, SS. Eat, which is eat.
Oh, S. Oh, okay, got it. I was like, why are you saying S for something? Okay.
It was cool. Thanks for showing them off. No problem. Colors look almost like them trendy Risograph colors. Yeah, it has that feel too, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It seems to be. Oh, a new segment. News. Did you hear that Kevin Feige decided to spoil 140 millions away into put it 140 millions in a bin because he didn't like the way Daredevil show was going. So he sacked every single member of a staff, a part of actors, I presume.
So hold on a sec. They had started filming it, and he decided, fuck this, this isn't working. Scrapping it all. We're starting from scratch.
140 million dollars later, he decided it doesn't work. It's not working.
Drop in a barrel for them.
So apparently he sacked all the producers and all that stuff, and they're gonna go from scratch again. Because apparently there's this mistake they were making while they're filming, and Kevin Feige decided that this is not the way to go, because apparently they are saying that the shows of Marvel doesn't work. The formula they've been using is not getting enough attention, so something else is going to come up, I guess. But I don't know. I'm just, I thought I will mention because it's Daredevil, because I was actually looking forward to see a Daredevil back on the screens, whatever screens there were. Yeah. But apparently now we're going to have to wait even longer. But you know what? If that means, I don't know what, I don't care. But it's kind of interesting that $140 million later, he's just like, okay, it doesn't work. Let's just scrap it.
Yeah, wow.
Oof. So anyway,
That's crazy.
I don't know why he woke up suddenly after spending that much money, but I guess that's
Right.
a
Maybe he
scale
didn't have as much
nothing to
oversight
notice.
right from the beginning as usual. Maybe there was more
Yeah,
trust involved that turned out to be
yeah,
misplaced.
maybe. But
Yeah.
anyway, I thought there's just that segment, just add. Sorry,
End
a
of new
bit.
segment.
Yeah. Jarring a little bit. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, and now let's talk about something I'm confused about.
And now back to the show.
So I decided to randomly pick up Justice League of America comic
Yes.
I have. Oh, I've been having had yeah, financially.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so the DC Crisis on on Earth Prime book 1, which I wasn't aware. I mean, I know
Boy,
there's Crisis and Crisis.
that's
I
a
wasn't even
mouthful. Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't even aware that it happened. But what I'm
Yeah.
confused about is how many Earths is in this issue in generally. So there's 4 Earths, 1, 2, 3, and Prime. I was aware of 3 of them. I wasn't aware of Prime.
Hmm.
Because I'm not as a like I'm not into that era. I mean, I'm still discovering. I do enjoy it. I absolutely love the art, and I do enjoy discovering. I know a lot of people don't like floating heads and around the cover, but I think this is kind of lovely. And it says the 20th annual team up of Justice Society and Justice League of America, and guest starring All Star Squadron. So if you want a lot of members on one book, there you go. This is the issue. So issue 207 of Justice League of America. So they have this. They decided to meet just Earth 1 to with Earth 2. And by the way, Jerry Conway, Don Heck, and Romeo Tongal is artists. So Don Heck is a writer. Oh, so Jerry Conway is a writer, and Don Heck and Romeo Tangal is the artists. Roy Thomas is a plot consultant, and Len Wein is an editor in this era, which is 1982. So they decided to meet, so F1 and F2. And where I have completely confused by, because apparently the bad guys decided to get into that meeting, shove one team aside, and place themselves in the right condition and beat the hell out of Justice League of America. And I'm talking about what is it, Society of Evil, or what they called Crime Syndicate. And then another surprising thing, this is this lady in here, which I've come absolutely baffled by her dress up, is Zatanna. This is Zatanna.
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh my god, Zatanna was wearing that much.
Yeah, right.
She always very like her famous the hat and the fishnets and all that stuff. That's what Zatanna I kind of aware of, or more being seen popular. And she's the in charge person of Justice League of America. Anyway, so they come into one tries to meet, and the crime syndicate gets involved and basically decides to shove the one Earth aside to get to enter and basically fight, because they were bored apparently in their Earth Prime. We kind of because in Earth Prime, Crime Syndicate is in charge. And there's no superheroes; it's only villains. So I guess they were like, no, there's nobody to play with. Let's go and destroy somebody's other sandpit. And it's kind of confusing at times, but I absolutely love the era to read the story like this. It's very like kind of like discovery from the beginning, like this bad crime syndicate Flash. It looks absolutely crazy with those ears and his ghetto. The Aquaman's trying to beat him, and he's like running around him, and Aquaman's like, "Come on, stop it!" kind of thing. It's like, I'm gonna just want to punch you, but they basically do a big number on all of them, and basically decides to shove them like beat them, and they take the plane or experimental plane from Justice League of America and basically go on Earth and do whatever bad things they want to do. And also we get back into the Earth, whichever. So you see, I'm already confused. Justice Society, or Justice Society is part of They were captured in that same bubble where Crime Syndicate was supposed to be captured in, and they were trying to look ways to escape. There's just Society of America. It's actually quite nice team members, because you have Power Girl, you have Huntress, you have the guy. Oh my God, why I'm blanking his name now? Oh wait, it's right here.
It's one of the floating heads.
Dr. Fate, Green
Hey.
Lantern, and the Starman. And I think they're kind of like a team. Or I actually definitely would like to follow through, because Huntress is a niece of Batman. Power Girl is the cousin of Superman. Fate has magic elements, which that helmet is like intriguing enough, and it has a
Yeah.
Prince logo on it, like the Prince, the Prince, the musician.
Yeah.
What do you call that thing? Anyway, so that's kind of intriguing, and of course I'm not really much Starman, well aware, and Green Lantern. Alan Scott is always kind of. I like Green Lantern universe in generally. So
yeah.
in
Howler
that,
was a big Starman fan. He loves that book or
yeah,
series rather.
and the Sleepy Reader liked a lot that new Starman iterations. What is that guy's
is that
name?
true?
Yeah, the King, the writer. Wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, that's the new DC's way of introducing Starman to the universe, I think.
Okay.
Well, that's the way it was working. Anyway, the story panels are beautiful. This is where the team who our society managed to escape the bubble. That's where they end up at, and that's what will happen on that part of the universe. Time travel happens, very confusing once again, but entertaining. So what I'm saying, you want to get confused and entertained at the same time, you should read this issue. Because I honestly thoroughly enjoyed. And what bothers me the most, I don't have the next issue, because it's in All-Star Squadron 14, which I don't have any All-Star Squadron, because I wasn't into that team, or that time when I was going into bins to check it out. But apparently this is the next issue to follow after this storyline. I really like the art, I must say. I like the paper feel to it. The camera is showing you even nicer way of looking at the paper. It's not as brown as well, but when I look at the screen, the paper looks even whiter when it is. But it's really nice. This is the 80s, the time I really enjoy the comic books, and even advertising the Sergeant Rock is on the move in 82. I guess he's moving. Also, there's this villain, because of the time traveling shabacle, because they changed due to that event, and where somebody was spelled away to another dimension. The bad guy called Dagon. The Dagon, they call him? Oh, Degaton. It's called Degadon per Degadon, which is absolute nightmare of a name to have for a villain. But I don't know if you can guys read, but this is the name there. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm sorry if I'm not making much of a sense, but these panels like that is absolute. This is my thing. I really like those screamy, petrified looking faces in the panels. It's one of my favorite things, and they were really rewarding in this issue, especially look at Zatanna's earrings.
It's something, man.
Yeah. Anyway, very intriguing. Yeah, and then they time traveled by Superman apparently getting up to speed, and he can reach the speed of light and stuff like that, and traversed into another universe to save. But then somebody else is in there where he didn't expect it, and that's how All-Star Squadron gets involved, which is Firebrand, Johnny Quick, Liberty Bell, Robot Man, and Steel. No clue who the hell they are. That's All-Star Squadron for you. Anyway, so as confusing as it is, as entertaining, still entertaining, very much so. And I couldn't explain to you exactly what's happening in here.
So did that lead into like Crisis on Infinite Earths, or is this like after that, or what's the timeline with that?
Oh, I
no
don't
idea.
Know. No clue. No clue. So I'm sorry. Maybe you clever people who has probably read the stories. Read Damien in that time. Like, this is when Damien shines. He probably would tell you, because he does enjoy that era of comic as well. But yeah, as I say, I was extremely entertained but confused. Too many people. That's the thing.
Lots of
It's
people, yeah.
it's two like three groups of three groups of good guys and then one group of bad guys, and I only know two of them sort of. Like I'm well aware of Superman and Batman and all that stuff. But those other ones are still kind of new to me, especially that All-Star Squadron. Robotman is from Doom Patrol. I know him.
Right.
Firebrand, Johnny Quick. Who is Johnny Quick? And Liberty Bell and Steel. No clue. No clue whatsoever. So anyway.
It's a million of them.
Yeah. And then I've just enjoyed the art and that era. I just kind of so that's why I like picking random, like whatever my collection is, random issues like that. It's entertaining. It still kind of like makes me chuckle, every single time I read. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so confused, but I'm still want to know exactly what's happening right at the end.
Yeah, there's something appealing about that era, and I think that's for me partially due to growing up in that time and seeing those books, and I'm sure reading some stuff from then. But yeah, there is something appealing even about seeing that issue, as confusing as it sounds like it is.
Yeah, jump from there to that, and then it goes there. Time
Yeah,
travel. The minute they touch time travel, it's not that I'm confused about it, but it's how they explain it and why they want, especially the first issue. There's not much information about it. Yes, they need to solve the problem. Yes, somebody was pushed away from the timeline, time changed, and yes, we were trying to solve that. But then you're introducing more teams, because when you time traveled, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Who knows? All-Star Squadron number 14. If somebody can give me,
we'll tell you the answers. It'll make everything clear. So kind of last for me this week.
Yeah, I have one more.
Is the one and only. I read all the Marquee books.
Woo.
So it's this was the Prelude from 1997, so a one shot, and then we had the 5-issue from 2000, Dance Macabre. Ooh. And then it went to the 2-issue miniseries, Devil's Reign, Hell's Courtesan, from 2001. Wow. And then after that, I think there was one more one shot, which I don't have, which is on the list to get. Overall, thoroughly enjoyable. The biggest thing for me about this was the Guy Davis art. So what I didn't know was that the Marquee was created by Guy. It's Vince Locke on lettering in this one as well. So this is written and illustrated by Guy Davis. This character was created while he was doing Baker Street. And originally this character was going to be a new character in Baker Street. It was going to look a bit different. I think he said in the back matter, it was going to be a white figure with a white mask. So it was going to be a character in that Baker Street universe. And over time, it developed more and more where it was a standalone thing, set in kind of this.
Sorry, can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're talking Sherlock Holmes now, yeah? Baker Street. You keep on. Is that Sherlock?
That's right.
Holmes
it's not really Sherlock Holmes. It's sort of that one he was doing. It's kind of loosely based on like the Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
It's not it's not Holmes and Watson in it, but it's kind of stand-ins for those characters. But they're more like in this punk rock universe is what the premise is of Baker Street. I think it was 8 issues long.
Because the way it looks, it could be definitely one of the villains of the Sherlock Holmes, because it does just have that look to it.
Absolutely, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yep, for sure. The other thing to note is that this first one was on Caliber Comics, which is the company that he was doing Baker Street with. And then the rest of the stuff came out on Oni Press. And there was a lot of delays. He doesn't go into much details about it. I get the feeling the delays were on his side. One of the things I love about this series is every single issue, now that I'm thinking about it, starts with this sort of pan down onto the city, if you kind of put it in movie terms. And the other thing, like we saw with Jake Thrash, there's a it's a fun one. It did take me a bit to get into their Earl Grey, but I would say give it a shot. Like I said, I think there's only 8 or 9 issues of it. I know that there's collections out there too. I've seen them online. It's worth trying out, especially if you like Guy Davis. He really comes into being what I would say is Guy Davis during that series. It starts off, you can sort of see some hints of what his art turns into, but it develops pretty quickly throughout that one. So there's a constant atmosphere. So it's this made up town of, I think they call it Venisai. And it's always winter. So it gives you a chance to get every single panel with some snow on the ground. But his use of zipatones and stuff throughout this series is really, really amazing. The issues are pretty beefy. And the basic premise is we have our main character, De Gaulle is his name, I think. Val de Gaulle, I think is what his name is, if I'm remembering correctly. There's all this debauchery and stuff going on in this town, people masking up and then letting their ids loose and kind of getting into all sorts of trouble, only to repent later like they do at church on Sundays, and all their sins are forgiven. The people of the town are kind of dictated, their actions are dictated by the church. Surprise, surprise. So there's this real heavy-handed, what's he called? The Inquisitor, D-Inquisitor, who's kind of in charge of expelling the demons and kind of keeping the population in fear of demons and devils, even though that's not what it looks like is going on within the story, yada, yada, yada. It's a hell of a lot of lore to explain. The gist of it is, though, is our main character gains these powers to see demons within people. And there's our first kind of full appearance of the Marquis there in all his glory. So it's a really amazing first appearance, because leading up to that page, like I was saying, we get panel after panel filled with texture and real rough and lots of like white foreground snow, and it all goes away when we see him. He's very, very clear on the page. There's a few white kind of drops in front of him, but there's no mistaking our main character here. And we can see now that he's seeing demons, and he's seeing this, what we saw as a human, the creature underneath. And later on in the series, we find out it's kind of the usual demons from hell have escaped, and he's sent to kind of kill them and send them back to hell. And this is where we really get a taste of what I love about Guy Davis and what makes sense why he would go and work with Guillermo del Toro. When I was looking at Guy Davis's Instagram page, he's got a great one to follow. The amount of stuff that he's done with Del Toro was kind of surprising to me. I just always assumed, I guess, that he was one artist on a team of artists that was doing stuff with Del Toro. He really is kind of leading the charge on the kind of look and the elements, design of creatures and even atmosphere and objects. For the Del Toro anthology show, which was called something, I don't remember, he designed pretty much everything you see in that issue, in that intro rather, to that TV show. Cabinet of Curiosities, I think is what it was called. So the amount of work he's done, and he has Mike Mignola doing a cover on this one. He's done a bunch of BPRD stuff. Guy Davis has done Neverman. He's done a whole bunch of things. So his art really fits in that world of the Hellboy universe and the surrounding kind of characters. And I really, really enjoyed it.
Sandman Mystery Theater.
Yeah, Sandman Mystery Theater is the other one I've talked about before. Yeah, totally. And that's one that I'm loving as well, too. But the one thing I will say about this stuff is it's very, very wordy. And once I finished the original series, this 5-issue miniseries, and went to the next one, there was a lot of repeat, a lot of dialogue. So I found that a little tough to get through, because some of the ideas that are presented, they're not exactly mind-blowing ideas. This guy has doubts of whether he's doing the right thing. We have doubts as the reader. Is this guy just some psychopath? Is he really seeing these demons? Et cetera, the usual kind of questions. So for this prelude, it just shows half the issue is the kind of intro story. And then for the rest of it, we get sketchbook, Guy Davis sketchbook, which there's a bunch of stuff out there of his. So we get kind of the first what the character was going to look like originally within the Baker Street comic, and then how it kind of changed over time. And you get a lot of like his very, very rough, that's very much just roughed in, blocked in characters. Beautiful to get a look at little insight into the weapons, everything
Lovely.
pertaining to this world and the character. What else do we have? It's like a nice pin up. And then I think he also shows us in the back of this, I think it's in the back of this one, he has some samples of things that were going to be used for advertisements to advertise the main series when it came out. The intention originally was that the main series was going to follow this one up pretty quickly. Yeah, here's some of the ads, what was going to happen in some of the Caliber books. But whatever it was happened, and that caused the delay of like 3 years before the series finally came out through Oni Press. And then here's some of the sketches of the creature designs and things. Beautiful style. I really love Guy Davis a lot. So much, actually. Every single panel in these books is pretty phenomenal. And that's the biggest draw. The story is good. There's nothing totally wrong with the story. It's just, it didn't leave much interest. I won't go through all of them. I'll just show you another issue with the main series. This House Courtesan 2-issue miniseries brought up a very interesting kind of demon or devil character here. I won't spoil anything, but that was a really nice angle, and I wish you would have explored some more of that stuff instead of kind of continually going back to, oh, look what the church is doing, and the church is trying to keep people in fear, and they're actually the ones that are torturing people, and yada yada yada. It's nothing too surprising. So the Kelly Jones cover on this one, this is the final issue of this Danse Macabre, and I loved this one. Again, here's a shot to open it up of a building. There's a hole in the ice. Our main character is in the ice. We're not sure if he's dead or alive, and we get a little insight into what he's experiencing. I won't show you too many of these pages, but I do just want to show you what he does with only this one issue. He starts to slowly introduce this red element in the background until these glowing red eyes start to creep further onto the page. And then we turn the next page to this, where it's now, for most of the book, is just this red. So black, white, and red. And as gimmicky as that kind of idea is nowadays with all these books from Marvel coming out that are black, white, and red, I think this one is incredibly effective. And again, when we're now down with a bunch of demons, we get to really bask in his ability to design some crazy, crazy looking characters and monsters and things. Like I said, I won't show you everything on here because there'll be spoilers in here, but really, really effective issue. And I love the look of it. He still stands out. The marquee really stands out on the pages as he kind of travels through. But like, look at these creature designs here. Really cool looking stuff. And these heads are from a previous issue. They have these, when someone is accused of maybe being a monster or something, they put this big iron helmet on them with spikes in it, as then they shackle them, and that helmet that they put on looks like those creatures. So you get the idea that these were humans that were tortured by the people up top. So hard series to find. It took me a long time to find all those issues, a long fucking time. There are collections of it as well from Oni Press back in the day. 2001, I think, is when they came out. Honestly, if you like Guy Davis, if you like BPRD, if you like Hellboy, it's really, really worth hunting down. Yeah, I'm not saying it's easy. Out of a lot of stuff I talk about, I know that's often the case, but this one I would really recommend taking the time and doing that hunt. Pretty damn rewarding. It's a pretty great series overall.
So there's 2 collected editions on UK eBay. One is for £90 and the one is 140.
Oh,
so
shit.
there's a Dark Horse collected edition, which I don't know why there's Dark Horse, because you didn't mention Dark Horse whatsoever. You only mentioned Oni
Caliber and Oni. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you just have rights and Dark Horse reprinted his stuff. I'm not sure. I just looked because I looked on eBay in UK. But yeah, 140 for Dark Horse edition, and a 91 for that.
Oni
Let me
Press.
see. Let me see. I don't want to.
The Oni Press collection, from what I understand from the ads, it has extra material in it as well too,
Yeah.
which now makes me want to get that stuff that wasn't printed in the comics.
Oni
So
Press, 2005.
2005. Oh, there was one then too.
And then Oni Press and Marquis Inferno Guide by Davis Dark Horse trade paperback, 2009. First print. Somebody
so a few
wants
printings. Okay.
140. That's
yeah, right.
Crazy prices.
So that's good. At least there's more than one printing. It's not like you're hunting down one printing of it. And if you can hunt down the issues, honestly, Lone Star gets them in every once in a while for those of you over in North America here who use that kind of bookmark it on there because it does pop up. I don't know if your comic shop that you turned me on to before, Rasa, it seems like that place online might be, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they may have something there. They seem to have a pretty good selection of books there.
Yeah, Silver Acre, I think I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked at like for shits and giggles, because when you talk about something like that, which I when you start saying Guy Davis, like, why the name is so familiar, because I'm that, like I need visuals, and then you show you visuals and he's like, oh, BPRD, then I know that because I'm a big fan of BPRD anyway, so definitely. And then the one which I've never read yet, the Sandman Mystery Theater, is the one I have.
It's really good.
Yeah, and I know everybody's like, you should reading that. It's not what you were expecting, blah, 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 because of that guy, which we were having in that event with that book in there.
And just so you know, I've got a bunch of doubles of these that are going to come to you when I send you the new canon. I've got a bunch of doubles that I found, so I'll put them in that package as well too.
So yeah, you're just gonna
that Sandman Mystery Theater is well worth reading. It's really, really good. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I'm a good chunk of the way in, and I'm really digging it.
They came out with that phone book edition, like the whatever you call, like oversized, but it's trade paperback, and like that soft cover, not hardcover. It's all collected in one chunk.
Like like an essential kind of thing, that type of thing.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's like the same what Uber Alles edition is, if people know who I'm talking about. It's that chunky book with a, as I say, very soft cover, which doesn't last very long, especially if you read it multiple times, like I do. The Uber Alles edition is, oh my god, one blanking. I know the name of Uber Alles, but I don't know the title. What's wrong with me? Oh my god. Why? Oh my, I'm blanking. I can see it. I can see the cover. Don't see the name. Stupid brain. Anyway. But it's that kind of edition. It's like really phone booky and really big and chunky. Anyway, so my last thing is called the Skull Slayer number issue 1.
That's awesome.
The fear-fraught first issue. So apparently Mr. Marv Wolfman decided he wanted to do the story, Skull Slayer. He was trying to put that through, and apparently was kicking, screaming, shouting, keep on mentioning, and I guess they gave in, because I only read issue 1, but to my astounding success in that once in a lifetime boot sale, we call it, I got 3 issues. I only read 1 because life happens, but yeah. So this issue is about the guy who has the worst luck in the world, like proper worst luck. So he gets his life starts with the army as a young child. Well, the story starts when he's getting off the plane. He gets arrested. This is our main character. He gets arrested, and we're starting to see the back story of how everything came to be. And he's, as I say, has the worst luck ever. So he gets enlisted. He's a very young kid, goes into Vietnam, gets hopped off the parachute. It's the first thing he does while joining them. And then he gets captured. And that's his soldier life until he gets rescued. But before he gets rescued, he went through really bad stuff. He's been beaten, starved, because they wanted to gain information, and making sure that he is basically telling all the secrets from America to Asian Vietnamese people. Anyway, and but he didn't give in, and he got rescued. He got a medal, but in the same time, while he is getting the medal, he lost his wife because he was away in captivity for 5 years. So his wife just after 2 years later, she just divorces him. And goes with another guy. He comes back home, and she's like, give you those two, and said, go your merry way. So he decides to go He travels back home until he finds his brother, and his brothers tell him, it's your fault. Mom and dad is dead. And he's like, mom and dad is dead? I didn't realize. So he's basically, everybody's trying to blame him. So while they're having this confrontation, he kills his brother by accident. And that's why he's on the plane being arrested. So while they're flying this plane, they go for turbulence, time travels into segment a different realm. It seems to me I'm all about time travel.
Which Earth are we on now?
I don't know, whatever, dinosaur time. So this is segment
Earth Prime.
Yeah, it seems to be. I'm most, but I absolutely love this. I mean, look at the color scheme they used.
Yeah,
this is such a beautiful way of, going to turbulence. The plane is absolutely going crazy. They having it's like kind of like a headache seizures, and they trying to still put the plane in the right position, and then you see that's like dinosaurs in the plane passing by, and it's like oh, and it's the whole book. The way it describes the situation for the guy. Next moment, head and tail of the burning ship have an argument, and like a Solomon decisions, plane cuts in half. Each part goes its separate way, so it's always something gloomy and doomy, but awesome art.
For years, he's wanted to know what's in the filing cabinets, I think is what he's trying to say there. Now he knows. Yeah.
This.
Multiple copies of Skull the Slayer.
Yeah, which no, it's my luck to get that. No, but it's comics. This is how I file my comics, people. Everything.
Comics are old bills.
I wish I had old bills, man. I really would love to do that. So anyway, he's lucky that he survives. He ends up going absolute crazy. He thinks that he's alone. He's kind of going mad, up for survival. But he takes, he almost goes mental because I'm lost, this is it. I'm like screwed. No matter I was arrested, but I'm surviving. But am I? Because I'm in the middle of nowhere. And there's some other couple and one guy survives also. But to their surprise, not really good things happens. But our main character, like always, he's like, no, I'm not going to let my horrible luck do me any bad. I'm gonna go and hunt for food, and he does that with success. And to my surprise, okay, T-Rex comes in picture, and it's like, okay, no worries, I'm going for him as well. So he's basically completely and utterly fearless. So he goes to fight the T-Rex. Takes a stick, starts jabbing at it. Fighting scenes is like it's absolutely beautifully covered. I mean the work of art is honestly is just stunning. And he basically gets the rock at his head, managed to clobber it, the stick into the mouth of T-Rex. I mean, he's successful most of the time until once again, while everything's supposedly be a good thing for the dinosaur, which is that's what happens. The dinosaur, he gets clobbered in his head by somebody. And who? Humans are not supposed to be here, but apparently somebody is. And they say in here, is it late or is it time for dinner? This is the last thing. So, dude, it does not have no luck whatsoever. Imagine that of your luck. I mean, some many people kill themselves because he's like, come on, how much can I take? Captivity because he went to the army, then he got captured because he killed by accident his brother. Then his plane crashes and he ends up in the dinosaur era. Woohoo! Lovely, but it's such a beautiful, entertaining read. And it's funny, and it always looks very sarcastic towards so Steve Gunn is the artist, by the way. And Marv Wolfman is the creator, writer, and colorist. He even colors in here. So he really wants this stuff to come out. Even I didn't have time to read, but
Must have collected a lot of paychecks.
it took him 4 years to get this book coming out. This is an extra matter. It says in here the first sentence. It's been 4 years. 4 years since I tried selling the basic concept of Skull the Slayer to anyone, and now, at long last, for better or worse, though naturally think better, it's here. So there you go.
Cool.
So apparently, I don't know. I think it's only 3 issues because I think I CLZ app. I think I put it in, and I think they say no more than that. But yeah, extremely entertaining. But it's such a bad luck for the guy, man. It's absolutely bonkers. But honestly, I absolutely entertained by it. And like as I say, this era is, the art, the level of art you get in this. This is from, has to be
74 or something. Looks like
75.
Close.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Color scheme is like Marv Wolfman's color scheme, I guess, is spectacular. And whoops for him. But as a first issue, what a read. It's really bloody entertaining. Right. Such a treat. When you get something, which I've seen it from the, the Damien always, the Conan the Barbarian, Skull the Slayer, it's been showing. And I never, this kind of things, it doesn't pop up often, especially this variant. Okay. I'm all about scent. I hate P variants. P variants are quite often you can find in UK very easily, but this is much more difficult when it comes to this weird comics called Skull the Slayer.
Yeah.
Anyway, and does the artist stays in issue 2? Yeah. Steve Garn continues with it, and it still continues being as good as it you would have in the first issue.
Yeah, sweet.
So I'll tell you, I'm definitely going to read both 3 of the 2 and 3, and I'll tell you the story, what's happening to all these people who has basically... Oh, the reason why they actually jumped is because they were traveling through Bermuda Triangle, which, it has that juju about.
Sorry, distracted there for a second. Message coming.
No, yeah, so Bermuda Triangle that's why they caused all this nonsense for the people on the plane. But, bad pilots, Bermuda Triangle. No. But I read some headline. I didn't read the whole article, but I read the headline. Bermuda Triangle mystery has been solved. Didn't go through it. But that's the headline I have seen recently days. But I thought maybe I shouldn't read about that. I don't need more conspiracy theories. Discovery
the
Channel
headline,
or
the body of the text is, we've all come to our senses and realized it was a load of nonsense. It never existed. Yeah. The end.
I watched enough of this. I like those Discovery Channel or History Channel. And there's a lot, most of them, if you have any chance whatsoever to watch, because I get it Lithuanian based, doesn't matter. Anyway, I get to see it. And honestly, sometimes it's just for shits and giggles, because the conspiracy theorist is a lot of happening. Archaeologists who are extremely passionate, and they start talking about those, the last one, I think I glanced through it 10 minutes, is the crystal skull theory from the Southern America, all that Mayan mythologies and stuff. Yeah, so all that stuff, it's kind of intriguing. Oh, there's another, talking about indigenous people, there's a Canadian Indian story or TV shows out. It's called something Black Crow something, but it's really dark. It's about Indigenous people of Canada, where they were in a particular area where they were starved to death, or because they weren't treated well. It just looked so bad, black and white at the beginning, couple of scenes, and look horrible because there are kids involved, of course. Don't forget, kids always get involved in that situation. And I was like, do I really need to get upset about it? So I switched it off. Because
so
the scenery.
It's a new show.
Yeah, it's a new show. It just came. I just. Sometimes because, Reservation Dogs, there's the most entertaining, really relaxed show to watch.
So good. Yeah.
and very very good, and it's like it's something to relax upon. So when you start watching that, something comes up in because Google watches you all the time, so
Hmm.
somehow they know that I'm interested in that, so they kind of blob that out of me. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted to watch, I definitely want to come back to it, but I really need to have a good mood, because these day and age, good good information doesn't come up so often. Always
Hmm.
doom and gloom, and you can get depressed really often and
Yeah.
easily. So when I saw that couple of scenes, I was like, I really want to watch it, but no, I can't, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just upsetting enough.
Yeah. It's heavy for sure if they really tackle it how it was, right? It's pretty heavy
Yeah,
topic.
exactly.
Um, I don't know if Earl Grey is here, but I have it beside me. This is one of the issues
Oh, there
of
you go. You
Baker
pulled it
Street
out.
that I got. Yeah, this was from my Lone Star order. So this is issue 7. So the series started in '89. This
Hmm.
issue is 1990. So this is the Guy Davis, the earlier stuff. And I'll just kind of show you a couple of pages. You can totally see it's him in this, no doubt.
Oh,
But
wow.
there's something just a little bit not there yet with the faces on the characters. But
Hmm.
there's still a lot of those textures on everything, the surroundings and everything. So I'll show
Hmm.
you. Yeah, you are there. Okay. Um, there's a page I want you here.
Oof. That
Randomly
issue,
open.
this number issue on eBay is £15.
What, number 7?
Number one.
Oh, number 1. Oh, really? Hey, yeah, no, it's not. You can find it for cheaper for sure. I've found it for cheaper. Again, it's the stuff like you do have to dig. Even on Lone Star, these
Oh, wait.
issues, when I've seen them on Lone Star, it hasn't been very much. This one I think was like $2.50 on Lone Star, and
So
I'm
there's
sure they've had
the,
on
what is
there
it?
as well too.
What is the Baker Street graffiti? Is that iteration of his Baker Street, or is one
I
of
don't
or
know
there?
actually. I'm not
That
sure.
one.
That's a new one. That's a new one to me. If there's one called Baker Street Graffiti, I know there was collections of this series as well too. So this is Caliber Press as well. But I mean, this is like it's starting at this point in the series. It's looking more like Guy Davis than what it started, um, what
Mm.
it starts off as. But yeah, like I said, it's well worth it. It's well worth giving it a shot. Even though I wasn't sold on it right at the beginning and kind of got rid of them and then got some of them back, and now I'm on the mission to get everything. But
Mm.
this stuff here, very very Guy Davis moody. He's really kind of turning into himself here on these pages for sure. So yeah, it's worth it if you can find it. And like I said, I think they did collections of everything where you can find a collection, all of the issues. I don't know how easy that stuff is to find. Caliber stuff is generally a little more easy to find out of the independent companies.
Yeah.
That's one that pops up a little bit more.
Baker Street Sketchbook, Caliber Press,
Oh,
1994.
okay, cool.
13 quid.
That's actually not bad for a
1 3.
sketchbook. How many pages does it say?
No, I don't see
Yeah.
it. Then also there's this. So there's Baker Street number one by Caliber Press, but I don't know which year it is. But then I see Baker Street Graffiti number one by Caliber Press, 1991. And then Baker Street Caliber Press, there's a graphic novel
Yep.
available as well. And then Baker Street Honor Among Punks graphic novel. I guess maybe it's a collected. Maybe it was going 5 issues or something like that. Must
I
be,
think I think they did. Oh, here we go. In stock Baker Street Graffiti on my comic shop.
Oh, there you go.
Cover by Vince Locke, story by Gary Reed and Guy Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Stories and art set in the world of Reed and Davis's acclaimed street, Baker Street, an alternate London where World War II never happened, and Victorian punk rockers roam the streets. Elementary, my dear, a case of the blues, sketches, and even swimsuit pinups. And
Wow, wow, wow.
on my comic shop, it's $8 American, a very good condition copy. But yeah, so Children of the Night trade paperback from 1993,
Mm-hmm.
Baker Street 4. That's a different. Honor Among Punks 1990.
Hmm.
That's Caliber as well. Wow, they actually have quite a few. I've never just searched Baker Street to see what else pops up.
There you go.
Sketchbook is here too, but it's out of stock.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it's 48 pages is what my comic shop says.
Ooh, that's not bad then.
Yeah, super cool. I'll have to add that to the want list right this very
I'll show
second.
this is the cover, yeah? The same cover.
Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Yeah.
Same thing. Oh, here, hold it up one more time.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, that's the one there.
Okay.
Sweet. Yeah, some of these guys, man, like Guy Davis is one, Rick McCollum is one. You know, like some of these guys are really, it's really great to find all of their stuff. You know, Dave Cooper being another one we talked about today. I just like seeing that history of these artists and part of me watching their growth. You know, I've definitely going to do some reorganizing. I was thinking about it the other day with my filing cabinets. I think I might have to start doing some sections for an artist, you know, like Ted McKeever stuff, and have all that stuff together instead of spread out. Because a lot of these guys, they ended up working for so many different companies. It's hard to kind of remember which companies were where and just kind of maybe put them together by artist or creator or something to make everything more easy to kind of grab, you know. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Anything else from you?
No, this is my
Okay.
Skull Slayer was my last entertainment for that, and then hopefully, as I say, this week I'll get all the newer stuff. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But then because I can read both Kaias. There's something else came out which I was curious about, but I'm not sure if I have even gonna attempt to do so because it's already enough for me. You know, like starting to think way overly much about my pull list and stuff. There's more coming up because you know right before Christmas they also come up with new stuff, and it's always entertaining to see. Cool.
Nice. So next Monday I won't be around, but Tuesday, if you want to shoot for a Tuesday chat on your channel, that'll work for me. So far, that'll work. I'll obviously let you know if anything changes, but next weekend is the last weekend that we're shooting this independent feature. So Sunday is our last day of filming, and then Monday I have to wrap out all the gear. So Tuesday I should be available.
Cool. I'll shoot for that then, bravo. Oh, then I have more time for my post to work.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's never know. Sometimes they feel like sending, sometimes we don't.
Yeah, right. It gives you an extra day there. Earl Grey, great to see you. Thank you very much for hanging out. Chaos and Comics, good to see you. Angel Lopez, as always. Dan Elson, thanks very much for joining us. Who else do we have? Jack Yo, of course. Thank you for hanging out. Who did I miss? Daryl D, Jeff McLeod. Thank you very much, everybody. Good to see you all this week. And we'll see you next week, Tuesday, over on Ross's channel. All right. Later.
Bye. Whoop, whoop.